Hi Cub Scouts, Scouter Dawn here, and we are looking at the start of our scarf project. So we're using a fabric called Polar Fleece. It's fuzzy, it's warm, it makes really nice scarves, and it's a really nice fabric because it is knit, and when we throw it in the wash it doesn't unravel, which is something we really want. So the first step we would normally do out at camp, and I would have you guys do it, but it is to cut the fabric into strips for our scarf. So you can see that I've done this because it's going to go into your camp goodie bag. Alrighty, so this is the first step. It's going to be done before you get it, and then we'll talk more about the next steps when it's in your hands. Hi Cubs, we're back and we're going to be working again on this scarf. So earlier you saw me cutting out the long strips of the fabric, and that's what's in your winter camp pack. But then there's the next steps. So you're going to need a pair of scissors, and you're probably going to need a pair of mom scissors, mom or dad scissors, because they're going to have to be pretty sharp. So you're going to have to get mom's permission, and probably best if she keeps an eye on you guys while you do this. So the first thing I did is I actually trimmed the edge, because apparently while I was cutting those nice strips out for you guys, I wasn't exact. So I made it a little bit straighter. And then after I made it nice and straight and I followed the pattern, I went and I made the fringe. And there's different kinds of fringes we can make, and I'm going to show you 3 different kinds. So let's get started on the different kinds of fringe you might want to try out. So we're back and we're working on the fringe, and so this is called the selvage edge. This is not the piece of the fabric you want to keep. It's kind of ugly. So the first thing you want to do is you want to trim off the ugly edges on both ends, so the selvage edge. And so with my big scissors, I'm going to cut that off. Awesome. Done. Step 1. Now the next part is a little trickier. So I need a little bit of equipment. And depending on what you have at home, hopefully you will have one of these. So I need to be able to mark some lines on the fabric, but I don't want it to be permanent. I want it to be temporary. I want it to be able to brush it away. So a Sharpie marker is right out. Now some of you guys may have a white pencil crayon at home, and you know what? This is a great time to use a white pencil crayon. I happen to have a blue one. This is a dressmaker's pencil, but you know what? It's basically a fancy pencil crayon, and I used to have a white one and it would have been perfect for this. So if you have a white pencil crayon, that works great. Next, I have something called dressmaker's chalk, and it's kind of like soap, and again I can brush it off once I've done my drawing with it, my measuring. So those are dressmaker's tools, but you know what, there's things around the house that do just as good. This is a piece of soap from in the shower, so you can see this bar of soap is getting towards the end of its life, and it works really super good. So I'm actually going to use this one. Now if you don't happen to have something like this, this is just a stick of chalk. In fact, that we use when we're at the park. This is sidewalk chalk. And again, I could use this, and you can see where I had it laying. When I'm done, I just brush it away. All right, so we're going to get started now. And what I'm going to do is I have my ruler, and I am going to measure about 4 inches. And I'm going to make a mark with my soap. You can see it there. And I'm going to make another mark at 4 inches on the other side. Okay, and I'm just going to draw a very light line. Nothing very fancy. In fact, you guys can barely see it. Maybe I'll make it a little darker so you guys can see it. There we go. Now you can see it. So what am I going to do next? I'm going to draw some lines on here that are about 1 centimeter apart. So when I'm done, I'm going to have my pattern to make my fringe, and then I won't have all these wiggly fringes. So when you come back, I will have this drawn and ready to go. So I'm hoping you guys can see that I have the lines. And now with my scissors, I'm just going to cut along those lines, stopping when I get to the top here. And then I'm going to continue all the way to the end. And if I like, I can leave my fringe just like that. But if I want to get fancy, there's a couple other tricks I'll show you. So this is one of the ways that we can finish off of our fringe. So here I have my nice cut fringe, and all I'm going to do is tie a little knot at the end. That's it. Just a little knot. Nothing fancy. That just gives our scarf a little bit of a finished look. And then I'll finish each of the little fringes with a knot, and my scarf will be done. For this fringe, what I've done is I flipped up my fringe. There we have it. I'm flipping it up, and I'm making a little tiny cut at the bend right in the middle of that piece of fringe. So here's my big piece of fringe, and I'm going to make a little cut right here, maybe a 1/2 centimeter. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Okay, so when I flip it back, there's my fringe, but there's that funny little hole. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end and I'm going to push it through. I'm going to pull it through and give it a little twist. I'm hoping you can see that. Let me do another one. Get those out of the way. So I'm going to take my end and I'm going to push it through that little hole that I made, that little cut, and then give it a little tug. And I will continue to do that all the way down the line. And I will get one of my fancy finishes. So I hope you've had fun making a scarf. I'm looking forward to seeing how your scarves turn out, and if you find that they're nice and toasty warm in this cold weather.